Yeah. Now can anybody please confirm that my screen is visible? Okay, cool. So it was great to know about you, all of you guys. So let me introduce myself. Myself, Biswajit. I'm a technical consultant and as well as a business development manager in ProDevance Technologies. Um, like I have been working in many different areas. Like I have worked on Linux, Ansible, automation, OpenStack, AWS, like Terraform, and all other areas. But I'll be your and also into little bit. Right now we are moving into containerization and microservices. So, but I'll be your mentor purely on Linux. So today we'll be discussing about completely about Linux. In fact, I see a lot of people, those who are already working on Linux, those who are little bit familiar in Linux, and those who are completely new into Linux. So guys, I would request everybody, I'll consider each and everyone as a one category that you don't know anything, so that I'll be talking about each and everything, so that just in case if you are finding anything which you already know, it is a revision for you. If you don't know, well and good, make a note. Okay. So in fact guys, my sessions are not like a video recording session that you have to just hear. No, I want you guys to speak up, okay, and put your questions, ask questions, and in fact, I'll be asking few questions. You have to be attentive and focusing on the class, and I'll be on my question. I'll be expecting few answers from your end. Maybe you know, you don't know, that's okay, but you have to unmute yourself and you have to say something. Okay. So guys, my today's session is completely based on 3W. That is not World Wide Web. These three W's are what, why, and who. In what, we will discuss about what is Linux. In why, we'll understand why we should opt for Linux. And here, who's Red Hat. So the first question to you, all of you, what is Linux according to you? Okay. Any other answers? Very good. Only two answers. I think there were nearly 14 participants. Okay. So yeah, Linux is free. Anything else you can say? Okay, it is a secure. Very good. Very good. What else? So Windows also directly manages, right? Yeah, it is a multi-user operating system. Okay, so good to see your answers. If anyone has any different answer, please let me know. Okay, so it has CLI. Okay, it is one of the true. Linux is a kernel. It is also true. That's true. Linux is a kernel, but mainly the kernels, the complete name is GNU Linux, and that's a different thing again. I will come to that in history part. We will discuss. Yeah, yeah. So Linux is an open source operating system. Okay, so Linux is an open source operating system. Here there are two new terminologies which is we are able to see on our screen. One is open source, another one is operating system. Can anybody tell me what is meant by open source? Hmm? Okay. What else? That this point was correct. It is available for paid and unpaid users. Okay, partially. We can share it with everyone. Very good. And what else? Okay. So let me tell you guys, open source is a license. Now, when a software or an operating system has open source license, that means that software or the OS is a free software, no charge. Anyone can download and they can deploy. Deploy means you can install it on your hardware. After installing, based on your ideas and analogies, like you will evaluate it and you can modify. How you will modify? The source code should be available freely. Okay, source code is also available freely. So after modifying, you can redistribute. Okay, when a software completes this life cycle, then it is called as open source. It should be free, anyone can download, anyone can install on any type of hardware, then anybody should be able to modify, as the source code is open, and after modifying you should be able to redistribute to your friends or to the open source community. Now for example, Linux is open source operating system because it is free to download, it can be installed on any type of hardware, source code is openly available, and you can rename it. I mean, you can create your own operating system as, let's say for example, Suraj will download and modify the source code, and Suraj Linux operating system he will give it to me. I will install in my hardware, it will work there, or he will host over the internet, it will work there. So when a software match all these criteria, then it is called as this open source. Now the other terminology was operating system. Now what do you mean by an operating system? Hmm? Right, both are right. You both are correct. The thing is, see, it is the, you can say, interface or medium, or it is a primary software which interacts or manages your hardware and software based on the user's input. Okay, it is going to manage your hardware as well as software based on the user's input. Okay, now I'm talking about, this diagram is about the Linux operating system. See, first of all, the middle one in the center, you have the hardware is written. Think there is a hardware. Hardware means your CPU, RAM, mouse, monitor, all those things. Linux operating system is the kernel. The kernel is, you can say, the way a human being requires a heart. Similarly, Linux operating system requires a kernel. Okay, kernel has its own modules. Okay, for mouse there will be a high module, for keyboard there will be a module, not one module. For escape button there is one module, for each and every button there will be a module, for each and every hardware component there will be a module. So kernel is the heart of the operating system, whereas above the kernel there is shell, this one. What is this shell? Shell, what it does is, it provides the, it feeds the kernel with the information. Now for example, there is some input which is given to some application interpreters or compilers or any other users inputs. Okay, so that basically shell takes it from the applications and other shells, and it will be provided to the kernel. Okay, so in operating system we have two types of operating system. Okay, in terms of users, one is single user operating system and the other one is multi-user operating system. See, in olden days there was single user operating system in the first. So in multi-user, sorry, in single user, only one account. User means account which can log in. There is only one account which can log in, and that account can perform anything he or she wants. Okay, anything can be done with that particular account, but only one task at a time can be performed. So that kind of operating system were called as single user, single tasking. But performing the task one at a time is not possible. Now, for example, right now you would have using single user operating system. Either you will see the screen or you will hear my voice. Both the things cannot possible. Okay. So now to overcome that problem, people came up with a solution of single user multitasking. Okay. So only one account can log in, but it can perform multiple tasks. Okay. It will perform multiple tasks parallelly. Okay, means there will be some task in the background, some task in the foreground. Foreground means in the front. It will perform. So that type of operating system were called as single user multitasking. But only one account can log in. So again time changed. Then multi-user operating systems came. So in multi-user operating systems, there will be one super user. What is a super user and what are the user parameters? All these things we will understand in the user administration chapter. Don't worry. But think there is only one account which has administrative privilege. Rest of the accounts are just normal users or normal accounts. They cannot perform anything and everything they want. Okay, he can do, but normal user cannot. Okay. Now Linux, and remember guys, in multi-user operating system there is no multi-user single tasking. No, there is only multi-user multitasking. So in operating system there are many different flavors, or you can say types, means companies. Like we have Windows, we have Mac, we have BlackBerry, we have Symbian, we have, and many other, Macintosh, we have like Bada OS and old some operating systems were there. So many different types are there. Now kindly understand. See, we are not discussing it for about anything about the mobile operating systems. Neither let's talk about computer. In systems, there are again two types. One is, remember, those who are new into this understand, operating systems are two types. One is a desktop type operating system which is installed in the at home on your laptop or on your desktop. Another one is server OS or server type operating system. So that will be installed on the Blade server or in server type hardware. Okay. Now my question is, I have a small question to all of you. Can we install a desktop OS on a server hardware or a server OS on a desktop hardware? Is it possible? Pardon? We can. Are you sure? Okay. Hmm. Yes, it's correct. You are absolutely right. It is possible to install. Only the thing is, I mean, possible is, everything is possible, but it will not solve your purpose. It will not solve your problem. Yeah. See, the thing is, uh, like how to say, huh? Is somebody speaking? Okay. Sorry. So the thing is, it is possible to install a server hardware, I mean server OS on a desktop hardware and a desktop OS on a server hardware. It is possible. But the thing is, see, desktop OS has to be rebooted after the installing anything, first thing. So a server hardware, I mean, if you are using a server, it is not recommended to reboot the server after you update or you perform anything. Not only that, let's say server operating system you will install on a laptop. It is okay, it is possible to install, but the problem is desktop OS comes with lot of utilities. That utilities you will not find in server OS. Okay, so both have their own benefits as well as demerits. Ups and downs are there. Only the thing is hardware requirement. Whenever hardware requirement is sufficient, okay, the minimum hardware is there, then you can install either way. Now we are not interested about the desktop OS. We are discussing about the server OS. So for server, we have Windows, Mac and Linux. Now understand the why Linux came into like became so popular. The thing is, see, always I have good internet. Now, okay, so fine. Now we are discussing about the server OS. So in server OS, these are the three mainly preferred operating systems for the server hardwares. Okay. Now let's compare these three. See, first of all, we'll kick this Mac, because the thing is, Mac OS can be installed only in the Mac hardware. If I want to install in the Dell server or any HP hardware, it will not be possible. Okay, it will be possible only you can install in Apple hardware. And Apple hardwares are so much expensive. Companies, they always look for cost cutting. So it is out of the comparison. Now comparison comes between Windows and Linux. See, now first thing is Windows. Any Windows administrator here? I just want to know what is the license key of a Windows Server 2019. Nobody? Anyway, according to my knowledge, it will be minimum 15 to 16,000. It is minimum, and based on your hardware configuration, the price will change. Actually, the thing is, to use the Windows operating system, okay, I think now it will be clear. So what I was saying is, when you use Windows, you have to get a license key that is generally called as a product key. Now product key is not free, you have to pay for that. Now let's say we pay that amount. Again we need endpoint security, antivirus and other securities. Still there is no guarantee you will have a security or not. Okay. And those endpoint security and antivirus, they are also not free, you have to pay for them. Whereas Linux is completely free. Second thing is, it is secure. Okay, no antivirus, no endpoint security, nothing are required. And not only that, the most demanding technologies like right now, the cloud computing, DevOps, everything, they run on Linux. Okay, the complete AWS, I mean, out of cloud computing, the AWS is the most popular cloud right now. Okay, even in fact right now Azure is also coming in the market, but Azure runs on Hyper-V, that's a different thing. But it does not runs on Linux, it runs on Hyper-V. Whereas AWS, OpenStack, Google Cloud, they all run on Linux. Most of the DevOps tools, whether you talk about Ansible, see Ansible, there are two sides. One is controller side, one is managed host, means the client side. Okay, think as server and client. Client can be anything, but the server has to be Linux. Let's talk about Docker or containers or Kubernetes or Jenkins. So all this main part, the controller part is Linux. Okay, so more number of opportunities. In fact, you need the demanding roles like DevOps roles. Then your base has to be Linux. Okay, so the main reason is it is open source. Okay, like why companies prefer that is it is open source, it is free, it has high security, high stability, okay, ease of maintenance, it can run on any hardware, easily customizable. About an OS architecture, Linux is the best OS to learn with. Okay, so Linux operating system is the operating system which was preferred for mostly preferred for backend servers and for learning and getting more opportunities. This is the best OS. Then in Linux we have many different flavors like Red Hat, Fedora, Kali Linux, Ubuntu, CentOS. Now CentOS is no more. In fact, for your information, Red Hat, Fedora and CentOS come under one category because all three are by one company, that is Red Hat. And now Red Hat is a subsidiary of IBM. IBM has acquired Red Hat into 2 years back. But still Red Hat is as it is. They are an operating system, not only an operating system, it's a company. They are into multiple areas. I'll talk about that also. Now which one to go with? So I say Red Hat. Now who is Red Hat here? See, a lot of people they say Red Hat means Linux. No, Red Hat is not Linux. Red Hat is a organization. Their main contribution to the world is they acquire the proprietary based software and bring it to the open source model. So let me show you. There is a link here. Okay, so this link is from Wikipedia. The list of acquisitions done by Red Hat I will show you. You see, Atomic Vision, Delix Computer. I mean, I'll show you the popular ones. There are a lot of here. See, JBoss middleware. Okay, so JBoss middleware, which is one of the popular middleware. Metamatrix, GlusterFS. This is storage. Okay, GlusterFS, ManageIQ, the CentOS project, Ansible, the automation tool, 3Scale, this is a API management tool, CoreOS, like that. These kind of lot of things are acquired by Red Hat and they brought to the open source model. Okay, so that's the thing. Now, how does Red Hat earn money? The thing is, Red Hat never charge for the installation or usage. They charge for the support. If you can install their softwares and you can use them, that's okay. But if you need any kind of support from them, like you need a satellite subscription, you need maintenance and technical support and other consulting services, then you have to pay for that. Okay, so a subscription consists of 7 years maintenance and patches. Okay, also training and seminar, all those things will be there. That's, we are not interested into that. But Red Hat is supporting many different airlines. Okay, like also telcos, healthcare sectors, commercial banks, like big banks like BOA, Bank of America, JPMC, JP Morgan, uh, like that many ANZ. Okay, Australia and New Zealand and Zimbabwe. So these kind of banks completely they run on Red Hat. In fact, our IRCTC also runs on Red Hat. So Red Hat is not just a operating system. Their working areas, they are into platform, middleware, cloud and DevOps. Okay, in platform we have Red Hat Linux operating system, as well as storage, server hardening, okay, virtualization, okay, and troubleshooting, all those things are there. In middleware, JBoss middleware. In cloud, there's OpenStack, Cloud Forms and hybrid cloud management, they are there. And in DevOps, Ansible, Puppet and OpenShift. They Red Hat operate in all these areas. Okay, so we will be discussing about the Red Hat Enterprise Linux 8. Okay, RHEL 8. See guys, this course is divided into two parts. First one is RHCSA, the left side, and the right side RHCE, which is Red Hat Certified Engineer. Now the RHCSA deals about completely about Linux. Okay, I will show you what are the things are there. This RHCSA is divided into two parts again. One is SA1, which is code is RH124. The other one is SA2, that is RH134. So what we will learn in 124. So in RH124, sorry, is anybody speaking? Okay, I felt like somebody was trying to ask a question. Now in RH124 will be first this, like what is Linux. This first chapter is today only. Okay, so just introduction. Then starting from accessing the command line, how you will open the command line, all those things. Then you will understand how to operate with files and directories. Then we will see getting help in Red Hat Enterprise Linux. If you are stuck somewhere or you find a command, how do you get the information of that command? Then working with the files, like how you will write, read, modify, all those things you will do on a command line. Then we will talk about the user administration, user and groups. Okay, what is a user, what is a group, what is a root user, what is sudo. Okay, so all those things we will see. Now get controlling access. This is permissions, file permissions. Who can write a file, who can read in a file, and who can execute the file. So how to change the permission, how to change the owner of a file, group of a file, all those things. Then monitoring and managing the Linux processes. So we will see what is a process, what are useful process, what are running processes, what are zombies, what are defunct process, all those things we will see. Then unwanted processes, how we will kill them, those things we will see in 8th chapter. Next, services and daemons. What is a service, how to control any kind of service, those things we will see. Can anybody confirm that? Are you hearing any voice? A little voice I am hearing somewhere, but I see everybody's on mute. Okay, so seems like my Bluetooth again got a problem. Yeah, now is anybody asking any question? Is anybody asking any question? No problem. You can join, Omkar. It will take more half an hour. Yep, absolutely fine. Okay. Guys, sometimes my this Bluetooth gets disconnected. So kindly let me know. I mean, you can put a message here so that at least I look if in case anybody was asking any question. So till now, any confusion, any question? Yeah, no worries. I'll share it. In fact, what you can do is you can directly type RH124. Okay, the Red Hat link. Okay, from redhat.com. The same content will be, I mean, the course content you will be able to see. Yeah, in the outline. Mm-hmm. Yes, cron is a part of the RHCSA, but not in RH124, it is in RH134. Yeah. Yeah, it will be on weekdays. RHCSA. Without RHCSA, how you will complete RHCE? Mm-hmm. Okay. Fine, no issues. In 30 days, RHCSA will complete 30 to 40 days. Yeah. So as I was talking about the SSH. So then we will see SSH. What is SSH? SSH, I mean the simple full form is secure shell, but what is the helpful, I mean use of SSH, that we will see. It is like a plugin. By using SSH you can access a remote machine. Then we will talk about the storing, access, analyzing and understanding the log architecture. Okay, what type of logs will be stored where. So then we will understand networking concepts. Okay, we will understand IPv4 networking, how to create a new connection profile, what is a DHCP, what is DNS, and how to create a new profile by using NMCLI, NMTO and different methods. Then we will see archiving and transferring the files. So how to archive and how to transfer. There is many different methods like FTP, file transfer protocol. We'll see SCP, secure copy. We'll see rsync, all those things. Then we will see package managers, and using those package manager we will see installing and updating the software packages. Okay, then accessing the Linux file systems, then getting servers and getting support. Okay, this is not a chapter actually, this is just a uh, Red Hat's portals understanding. This is insight, this is what, where your servers details will be written. I don't think this chapter will be required, but as it is a part of our book I will introduce you. See, there is also lab. I'll talk about lab also shortly, don't worry. Now once we complete RH124, then our RH134 will start. So in RH134 we'll discuss about the okay. So first it is a shell scripting. There's a chapter shell scripting, then scheduling future task. Wait, I'll get all in one place. It is RH199. RH124 plus 134 is called as RH199. Okay. On chat it will not go. Actually this is the book, I cannot share this book. So that don't worry, I'll share you where you can find the content. Don't worry, I'll get you arranged. Yes, it is covered, but it is a, see right now here we have three parts. Look, if you look at this diagram, RH124, 134, R comes under RHCSA. In RHCSA, Ansible is not at all covered. Ansible is covered in RHCE. So the SA3 is RHC. So I have not opened the SA3 book till now. Yes, absolutely. Yes. So, like this shell script, yeah. So then we will see cron jobs, cron tabs. So like scheduling the future task, then tuning the system performance. that we will see. Next, controlling the access to files by using ACL, access control list. Then we will see SC Linux security. Then basic storage partitions, MBR and GPT partitions, that we will see. Then LVM, logical volume manager. Okay, what is how to create logical volume, what is a logical volume, that you'll understand. So now this is a new thing which is introduced in RHEL 8. In RHEL 7 or any older versions of RHEL, it was not there. In advanced storage concepts, we got two new concepts called, one is Stratis, another one is video. See, Stratis is like it provides thin provision file systems. Now thin provision means, if those who know, well and good. Those who don't know, let me just tell you in a short idea. Now for example, let's say this is your disk. Okay, disk size is around, maybe there's no fixed size. You have some data in it, 100 GB. Okay, data is 100 GB. So disk size is also 100 GB. Tomorrow you got 10 GB extra data, which you are trying to store in the same disk. So disk size will become 110 GB. So disk size is not fixed size. It will increase when data increase, the size of the disk will increase. When the data decrease, automatically size of the disk will decrease. So that is thin provision file systems provided by Stratis. Then we have VDO, virtual disk optimizer. What it does is, now see, for a small example, other things can be said in words, but this, like deduplication. It is deduplication, means for example, let's say I'm using this system and I have stored something in one particular folder. Okay, one particular directory I have stored something, and the file size is 10 GB. Okay, what my colleague did is, he also downloaded the same file and stored in some other location. I don't know that he has downloaded, or he don't know that I have downloaded. He also downloaded that same file, 10 GB. Now actual file worth is 10 GB, but we are using 20 GB. As it is a duplicate file, it is using 20 GB in our system. So what video will do is, automatically it will identify the duplicate and it will not store the duplicate, only it will store only one copy will be stored in your system. So that is provided by VDO, virtual disk optimizer. Sorry? Huh? See, you're talking in context of video, or you're putting a new scenario? See, the thing is, confidential files, obviously you will have a copy. Okay, but there definitely, the thing is, here also, whatever the scenario I said you, like here also there, yeah. Okay. Hmm. 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 Do not worry. Yeah. The thing is, video will not block you in downloading. You will download it. Okay, I have not said completely. I have just said you in short. You will actually, when you use video, you will be easily able to download it. But once it is downloaded completely, once it is stored in your disk, when it finds two files, actually it will store only once. But it will show two different index. For you, there will be a different index in your location. For him also, there will be a different index in his location. That same file will be shown two places. From your disk, actually 20 GB is not used, 10 GB will be used. Okay, so this is the concept. of video. Yeah. So I mean, I have just to give you an idea about video. I said that. So there is lot more things about. When you go into deep, then you will understand. Yeah. Next is network attached storage. So NFS. Now network attached storage is like, now for example, see, this is one machine. Okay. This is one machine. Maybe it is there in India, and this is another machine which is there in Dubai. So I want to. There is one disk or what? Not disk. Disk sharing is becomes iSCSI, but this is a directory sharing. Now I will share this directory to Dubai's server. Now here the name is project. Okay, the directory name is, or simple language, folder. So whatever I will store inside this project folder, that is actually not stored in this server. In fact, it will be stored in this server. Okay, so this is NFS. So we will see that also. Okay, in fact, then we will understand controlling the boot process. What is booting process? Then we'll understand firewall, network security, internet security. Okay, then how to install Red Hat Enterprise Linux, that we will see. Then comprehensive review, these are labs. Once we complete 124 and 134, now you are eligible for appearing the first certification, that is RHCSA. The next one, I mean the final one, is RH294, which is completely Ansible. So in Ansible there are many things to discuss. So once you complete RHCSA, you can go for RHCE, which is Ansible. So we'll see how to create a playbook, how to create a facts, and I mean not how to create a custom fact, and there'll be also predefined fact, and how to create a variables, how to use them, using the loops, task control, using the templates, then managing with large projects with files, and then we will see with roles. Okay, so files and roles. Then we will see troubleshooting the Ansible, then automating the Linux administrative task. Okay, so all those things we will see in Ansible. Now to learn all these things, guys, very important thing which is required from your end is, so how the implementation part will take place. So the number of time you will spend for the class, equal number of time you have to spend for the lab. So basically my sessions are like, today I will complete the chapter, the next day of the chapter there will be lab, we will be completing the lab. So I will not tell you guys, you have to in advance, you have to keep your system ready. So you don't have to configure the system at home, not required. We have the systems, you just have to contact our person, his name is Mohan. Mohan, I need a system. He will give you the ID and password to you. So once he give the ID and password, you will be able to access it. Now before we start, because tomorrow onwards we will be, not tomorrow, Soumya madam will tell you from when it will be starting. The very important point which you need to understand is, nothing, you will be accessing our systems through an application called AnyDesk. Now think you got the AnyDesk ID and password, and you have logged into the system. The screen which you will be able to see, think this is that screen. So this machine is called as foundation, or sometime I call it as base mission. Okay, so whenever I use the word foundation mission or the base mission, you should understand. Now inside this foundation mission, we have few virtual missions. Okay, they are not physical mission, they are virtual missions. Okay, so there will be few virtual missions. See guys, classroom, the word itself means a 4-wall room, but here it is, classroom is not a room, it is a mission. Okay, it is a server. Classroom is a server. Okay, then all the machines are interconnected this way. Okay, these name is server A. Okay, like this you'll have different virtual machines. You have a virtual machine called classroom, base 10, server A, server B, server C, server D, and workstation. Okay, so let me put a line here. See, the thing is, I am creating a line because the classroom, the mission which you are able to see as a classroom, that mission is very important mission. Okay, that is very important mission, and as a student we are not authorized to log into this mission and perform any task. No, we will not log into this and do any task. No, in fact we will do whatever we want in all this area. We will not go here and do anything. No, we will do in the area, this area. So the right area which we are recommended to do anything is that area is called as student network, and the other area is called as classroom network. Okay, now in the student network and classroom network, there is a mission between the student network and classroom network. What is that? Let me remove this. Now you would have understood. It is Bastion, Bastion, Bastion. Remember guys, classroom is the server, whereas all these missions are client missions. Now to, let's say you want to download some RPM package or you want to do something, some task, and you want to access the classroom server. You need the access of the classroom server. If the Bastion mission is off, you cannot access the classroom mission. No, it is not possible. If the classroom mission is off, it is not possible. Sorry, if the Bastion is off, it is not possible to access the classroom. Okay. So to establish the connection between the student network and classroom network, Bastion mission should be on. So you have to make sure when you are working, Bastion is on or off. Okay. Now just in case they are off, or maybe they are on, or let's say you want to turn it on or you want to turn it off, whatever the scenario, we will do it with the help of a command, that is rht-vmctl. Okay, with the help of rht-vmctl command. So I'll show you this. See guys, this is a special command. It will work only in COS labs. If you download a new operating system and try to do it, it will not work there. It will work only in the COS lab. Okay. Now, how you will access it, I'll tell you. See, now you have to download an application called AnyDesk like this. We'll double click on that. Here, like the ID will be there. So you will enter the ID. I'm entering, I have one system, 3, okay, this is the ID and password. Okay, now you are able to see that there is a system and probably somebody was practicing here. Now when somebody is practicing, so definitely lot of time what happens is when you are trying to do, you will get lot of errors. If somebody is practicing, like see, it is not like you will only access the system, lot of people will access the system. So when lot of people access the system, they will change the password, they will change the configuration file, they'll do this, that, or lot of other stuff they will do. So to overcome that, it is always recommended to take the terminal and full reset it. Now how you will full reset? First you have to open the terminal. So how you will open the terminal? Just click here, come here, press on terminal. You can open this way, or you can press Alt F2 Okay, here you will come like this. You can type gnome hyphen terminal. Okay, once this is open, okay, I said rst hyphen vmctl. First full reset. It says, are you sure you want to full reset? I say yes. Now when you do full reset, what it is going to do is, it will delete that machine and it will create a new machine. Okay, it is a script actually, which it will do that. Okay, now full reset is done. Let me clear the screen. Then you can, let's say you want to check the status of the mission. So RSTF and vmctl status all. Okay, remember all means based on workstation your server A, B, C and D. Okay, here B, C and D is not showing because this is a different mission. In this mission C and D are not enabled, but there'll be, you'll find missions where C and D will be enabled. That's okay. Let's say you don't want to do full reset to all the mission, or you don't want to check the status of all the mission. You want to check the status of only one mission. CTL, let's say status, you want to check only for workstation. So write workstation. Let's say you want to check for classroom. Write classroom. So here it is showing us running state. Let's say you want to stop some mission. Let's say rst-vmctl stop. Let's say you want to stop server A. Okay. So this way, start, stop, restart, not restart, start, stop, status, reset and full reset. All these options you can use. So first I have showed you VMCT full reset. Do not worry if you are not noting it down. I'll tell you tomorrow. Not tomorrow, I mean in our next class. I'm habituated to tell tomorrow. So in our next class, whenever the class will start, at that time I'll make you note these things. Okay. So this way you will use them. Okay. So I'll not go anything technically right today. Today it was just an introductory session. So how it would go and what all the things you will learn and what and all. So this way, so there, it was not an end. Every day there will be something to learn in the next day also. And Ansible, can we have to automate the servers? Yes. See, automating the server in a sense, you are not making it to do automatically like install something, or you are not there and it will automatically install, or you are not there, something will happen. Not like that. Let's say for example, nowadays everything is on the cloud and number of servers are huge. Okay, it's not like one or two missions you will servers will be there. Thousands of servers you need to handle. Let's say just you want to apply the patches of on only 1,000 servers. Patches means, let's say you want to do, let's say forget about the patch, you want to just restart every day. 1,000 missions has to be restarted at morning 7:30 a.m. or morning 6 o'clock. Now every day you will log into that, shut down, I mean restart. For 1,000 missions you have to do. Same thing, what you can do is, by using Ansible, you will create a script. I mean script, that script is generally called as a playbook. You will create a playbook and run the playbook by using Ansible-playbook command. Whatever the task you have defined inside the playbook, that will be performed in the. Yes, it is possible. It is possible, you can do in 10,000 machines. Leave out 100. 10,000 machines also possible. But connectivity should be there. It is like, see, connectivity should be there. Like the way how it is connected, I'm showing you, like the connectivity should be there. So do not worry, we will discuss many things about Ansible. Any other question? um, see, the thing is, this class is an evening class. The class timing would be 6 to 8, and on weekend classes are 10:30 to 1:30, depends on the topic. Both are different. The normal week, no problem. No problem. You can opt for the weekend classes, absolutely. And yes, there on Saturday and Sunday, no classes for this. This classes is only on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, 4 days a week. And yeah, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday will be off. But I would suggest, I mean, if you are getting time, you should be practicing. Yeah. That I'm yet to get the update. I'm not sure. Like I need to check with Soumya madam. Yeah. Um. No, not really. Like I already have a batch in the weekends, and it is very difficult to manage everything like project. I mean, the I have something else to work on, and not only that, also I have multiple classes to take. So it will be little difficult to do everything. But I'm not sure who will be the trainer. But no matter whoever is the trainer, I mean you will. I mean everybody will teach you the same content because we are a Red Hat training partner. So we have to follow the same content. Curriculum is same, content is same, the topics are same. Mm, yes, yes. I will share. I mean, I should not be specific as dumps. There will be a mock test. Okay, do not worry. You will clear the exam with that. And okay, because this session is getting recorded. Yes, there is a morning class, but don't know when it will start. No problem, no problem. We have in morning also, no problem. But when it will start, you have to check with the madam. Yes. Yes. Huh. Probably because I did not get the update from Soumya madam. So if you got the update, then definitely it is going to start because I'm free in the evenings. So that's the thing. Each each module requires 20 days. There are three modules. This one 124, 134, 294. Yes, 2 months minimum. Pardon? Pardon? Yeah, definitely. What become you are talking about? You know, there were people who are agricultural engineer. My students, they have joined this course, completed, and they are working in one of the company that is TCS. For your information. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, you see, I'm able to access the lab online, right? See, my system. You see, my system. This is Windows, but I'm accessing Linux. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, so no, see, we are discussing about the. Okay, let me clear your expectation. The thing is, this is completely administrative course, so nothing about hardware we are going to learn. Everything is software. In our complete course, we are not going to remove any hardware or connect any hardware, but yes, you will get the idea about it. Hmm. If you become a network administrator, yes, but if you become a Linux administrator, no, you don't have to deal with the hardwares. For while installation you will go and physically and you will install, but rest of the, let's say you have to manage the production server, so you have to just sit in front of a system and work. You don't have to do any physical activity. Only, I mean, obviously physical activity on a system. You will work as a software engineer. Okay, see, let me tell you, storage is like, see, now there are different types of storage if we go to specific, but the thing is, it will be, see, I'll tell you, normal CPU size, how much it will be, something around 1 1 meter, something around 2 feet height. So blade server length will be something around five, not five, something this much. It would be around 5 feet. The length, and more than that also. Yes, yes, easily. So I will show you. Like, I don't know. I can share my screen. I can share my screen on WhatsApp, not WhatsApp. Nah, on mobile. Um, there was a photo of one of my colleague deployment he was doing. He just shared his photo on the group. So it was a very big hardware. So by looking at the hardware, you can easily understand.